the CTV and even more broadly the TV trends are what everybody sees, which is linear television is decelerating, single digits percentage per year. CTV is increasing double-digit percentages every year. And so we're looking at roughly 60 billion on linear TV in the US, according to eMarketer, and 30 billion for CTV. That trend is making the buyers and sellers sort of rethink how they're activating. How are they interacting with each other? How are they executing campaigns? On the buy side, they're thinking about how do they plan and activate across linear and digital, because the languages, the data that they use to target, the data they use to measure, even the teams could be separate. And the sellers are starting to think about how do you sell in a combined offering. And so it's, given the scale of CTV, it's really creating some opportunities to innovate how historically buyers and sellers have worked together.
And speaking of that, there was some big news. Talk a little bit about the Mediaocean Magnite deal.
Yeah. So Mediaocean today announced a partnership with Magnite, which is a leading SSP. When we looked at how buyers and sellers were contracting CTV, we saw that roughly 60% of what they were doing was a classic insertion order. And about 20% of it was pure programmatic through DSP, SSP. And then there was an interesting 20%, which is PG or preferred. PG and preferred are fixed price guaranteed delivery or fixed price non-guaranteed delivery. That looks a lot like an insertion order. So the vast majority of CTV is being contracted between buyers and sellers as an insertion order. And so as we talked to direct investment teams and programmatic teams, they said they would like to see greater automation of that and not necessarily routing it through the full programmatic pipes in order to keep the costs down. Typically, on the linear side, buyers and sellers have contracted with each other for decades. And so the direct investment teams look at this integration and say, hey, you're automating the end-to-end of contracting all the way to invoicing. And the programmatic teams say, this is through programmatic pipes. We like that because we can take advantage of automation and other intelligence like measurement. So it's been received very positively. And we expect that this is one initiative of a lot of different initiatives. For us, it's all about convergence and consolidation and compression. Linear buyers historically have spent less than 3% of media to execute media. In digital, we know that's far higher, but I think we can combine the two together and take advantage of what are the great things about linear and what are the great things about programmatic for the benefit of the buyers and sellers.
And when will this partnership kick in, get into gear?
It's live. We actually went live with the integration. We have agencies that are testing it now. So as they get comfortable, they'll start to scale more of it. There's huge advantages to this, given the automation of the end-to-end. One of the consistent themes that we hear between buyers and sellers is just the painful reconciliation of how they work together. So our goal is to try to automate as much of that as possible.
So shifting gears, what's your thought on direct sold and programmatic coexisting in a more harmonious way?
Well, look, I think we're starting to see that. Historically, they were treated very differently. When programmatic first started, everyone had a TV first mindset, and then the sellers often gave unsold inventory that might get executed to their buyers as a value add. And over time, that's changed, and that's changed because the scale of CTV and the understanding of what programmatic can do. So now buyers are in a mindset where they think linear and CTV, how do I plan this and activate it? A big brand still wants to control reach and frequency against an audience regardless of how they're touching them, through a linear TV, through a connected device, whether it's a phone or a TV. So the buyers still have the same goals in mind, and you see a lot more convergence around linear and programmatic thinking on the buy side. On the sell side, the same thing is happening. Sellers used to think that programmatic was a way that undercut the value of their inventory. Now they view it as a way to bring really smart audience-based demand, and even demand that their own direct sales team wasn't able to source, as a way to increase the yield and increase the diversity of the ads that they're showing to their consumers. So both buyers and sellers are really evolving the way they think about traditional and programmatic sales.
And do you see any friction or challenges with automation, converting everything to automation?
I told somebody earlier that I felt like we were in the gangly teenage years of our transformation as an industry, in both a good and bad way, which is there is a tremendous amount of work that we've done on automating and integrating new things like advanced currency, and there's still a lot of work to do. So whether we're talking about how do planning and buying integrate more tightly, how do organizations integrate? We still have agency partners who have separate linear and digital teams. So I think from top to bottom, we're on this journey to transform to a new way of thinking. And I think that the way of thinking is more programmatic in nature, meaning more data-driven and more automated. But we still have a lot of work to do.